Well, you see the Grizzlies, right? See Memphis.
You
See
know,
Ja Morant.
I saw you like come on screen with that on, and I'm just like, man, I know you've been like, you're not one of these like fair weather fans. You've been a Grizzlies fan for a long while, but I feel like your boys got to dial it back a little bit. Like they're quickly becoming
Yes.
like the assholes of the league, and for reasons that are just like seemingly non-existent.
They're very childish. Yeah, I get it. I agree. I
And I'm
agree.
just like,
They have to
guys,
dial it down a little bit.
just it don't have to be this. It don't have to be like this. You know?
But if we win that championship, it's going to get worse. It's going to get
I,
worse.
I I don't know.
Dylan
Maybe
Brooks is the issue. Dylan Brooks is the issue. He's more
no.
the
He might be the loudest one, but he ain't the only issue when you
I
got
know, but he
Jobs
just
friends
does
out here
that.
pointing lasers at people and shit like that. That's not.
Yeah, I can't
Come
even speak
on.
for that one. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's all good.
But also I don't know what you're talking
What's
about as
up?
far as like winning a championship. I
Oh,
don't think.
absolutely, absolutely. The Lakers
Okay.
they messed it up. We're gonna win a
No one's
championship.
talking about the
Grizzlies.
Lakers. Did you miss all the trade deadline fiasco?
No, the Nuggets are not gonna win anything. They gotta give Joker more help. If I was the Nuggets, I would went all in for Kevin Durant. I would have traded Michael Porter Jr. I would have got Kevin Durant equal Joker.
You know what? This
You
is
trust Chris Paul?
this is no. I don't even like Chris Paul, but that's a
Okay,
discussion
so
for another day. This is not a sports pod. Anyways,
it's not.
welcome back, nerds. Welcome back to another episode of the New Block Nerds podcast. I am your host, Chris, aka Prince, with the homie Duran, aka Medic Grizzly. Duran, how we doing, bro?
Doing well, man. What's up? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You know what I mean? Just life's been busy as of late, but
Yeah.
that's a good thing. You know what I mean? Nothing to complain about. So you a couple of months ago, you suggested another anime to me, and this was off the heels of me finishing Iron Blooded Orphans, right? So I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I'll take a flyer. Duran, he was right about Iron Blooded Orphans. I loved it. So I was like, let me check this whole Vinland Saga thing out. He's like, you were like, oh man, I love Vikings. It's about Vikings, and I'm like, an anime about Vikings. That's kind of different, right? So, I started watching it. The first couple episodes were kind of just like, whatever. And you were like, dude,
What?
just keep watching, keep watching, keep watching, keep watching. So I got into it a little bit. I enjoy it. What I don't see yet, and we'll get into this. What I don't see yet is how some people already have it in like their top 10, top 5 animes, which I think is ludicrous. But
Okay, first and foremost,
I'll let you take over for this one.
fans, how y'all doing today? Prince is about to make me cuss. Okay, I'm not gonna cuss yet, but you're about to make me cuss. Vinland Saga is a different anime. People are used to shonen anime. They want the power ups. You saw that. They want the route of historical anime, which is a lot of people can't really get down and actually into the art and the anime and keep people's attention. They mastered all that. With that being said, alone, it's better than most anime out there right now. So I love Vikings. You know that. Yes, it is. Storytelling is a really important in anime. You know that. If storytelling not matter, Dragon Ball Z will be a top anime of all time.
All right. Well, you're arguing extremes here, but you're saying one of the best anime out right now. I mean,
yeah, right now,
even something that's a traditional kind of shonen anime like My Hero Academia, I enjoy that more than I do Vinland Saga.
My Hero is great. I will not deny that. It is.
I'm just saying. Slow your roll. Slow your roll. They only have one season out. Give them a chance.
But Vinland Saga is better than Attack on Titans. So I will go.
Wow.
Yes, you want those shots and throwing counter punches.
Throwing counter punches. No, see, now you're just throwing counter punches to be petty because that's not based in any kind of fact whatsoever. There are opinions, and then there are
season 1.
Yeah, no, Attack on Titan. I still think Attack on Titan season 1 is better than Vinland Saga season 1. But go ahead, man, get your shit off. Go ahead.
First of all, let's look at these fans and know. So Vinland Saga is available on a couple of platforms. Netflix is also available on Amazon Prime if people are dubbed and sub, whatever one you'd like to have. But Netflix is the most convenient one for me. That's what I've been watching it on, and I enjoy it very much. Very so. So it starts off with just the overall the art. You have this big giant like ship battle, and you focus on Thor's. Thor's is the main character, is the father of the main character, and seeing him into this giant battle, some badass fight scenes. Like some, you can't tell me the fight scenes weren't amazing. Say they weren't.
No, the fight scenes in the animation is great. I mean that's not my issue with it, and I'm not. It already sounds like I'm like shitting on the anime. I actually have. I'm not shitting on it though. I actually have enjoyed it. It's just when you come out and you say, "Oh, it's better than any anime out right now," and it's better than Attack on Titan. Now I just got to push back on you. I have been enjoying Vinland Saga as I've watched it, and it's gotten better over like through the course of the season, and I'm really excited to see like where they're going to take the story, considering like what we're told is the initial premise of it, and then how season 1 ends, and like where some of the characters are left off. It's like it's very interesting because I'm like, all right, well, how do they? Where is this gonna go? Where so go ahead. I know what
heavy spoiler alert for people who have not watched the show. Stop now and go watch it if you don't care to know about spoilers. Okay, we're going to spoil the mess out of this. So base starts off with Thor's. He's in giant battle, and then you see him. He's like a man amongst everybody. He's throwing it down, doing what he has to do. Middle of battle, gets to a tussle and goes into the sea. He has a decision to make. Do I go back up to the crowd and keep on fighting where the ship is, or do I just pretend like I died here and go live the life that I want to live? And that's what he chooses to live. So he goes from there, ends up being in Iceland, progressing the story, has kids, has a daughter, has a son. He's actually a farmer. He's a very little man, enjoying life, enjoying people. No one really knows, besides one person really in the village, that he was this great warrior. So progression of the story happens, as in the battle is still happening. Everyone is still fighting, but they're on this one little island by themselves, doing their thing, keeping their name on the low. This former pirates / Vikings basically come into the actual town of the actual island and give him a decision. Hey, come back and battle with us, or we're going to slaughter everybody here. He knows the game. He knows what's going on. He decides to, hey, I'm going to go back with these people so my village is not being harmed. When that happened, what was your first thoughts of the first episode?
So I was still like I was just kind of in it to see where it was going. I hadn't, like, when I get into new shows, I'm not like trying to figure out that much about like where the story arc is going. I'm just kind of along for the ride at the beginning. But we're talking spoilers here, but what happens a couple episodes later, then it became very clear. Okay, now I understand what this story is about. So, basically, long story short, Thor's runs into this mercenary named Askeladd and his men. Long story short, Askeladd does some real shady shit, and gets Thor's killed, essentially, right? But Thor's son, Thorfinn, is there witnessing it. So he's basically like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember all the particulars of it, but there was basically Thor's was like trying to make a deal with Askeladd, saying, hey, if we lay down our weapons, like you'll let like these other people go or whatever. But then they ended up going back on that word.
Floki's like a jealous teammate. So he was always mad when he found out that Thor was always a better fighter than him. Everyone knew he was. So when Floki came back, he made a deal with Askeladd and aside, hey, we want him dead. He abandoned us. I think it was like a 15-year gap of him living on his life. He has to die. So
right.
Thor knows how Floki and it operates and what he does. So he sets out to sail. They actually go out to where they're going to meet the king and make his decision. But he, at the back of his mind already, he knew that it was going to go down poorly. And then middle of the actual ship, you have Thorfinn is actually in the ship, and no one knew about it. So they were so far away. So that's how he even was there to witness all the masquerade that happened with Askeladd. So go ahead.
So after they, I guess you can call it a betrayal of Thor's.
Absolutely.
And after he dies, you get Thorfinn, who's basically I mean, essentially, he basically makes it his life's mission to say, all right, I'm gonna kill this fucking Askeladd dude for killing my dad, but I'm gonna do it in a sanctioned duel and like an actual, not like on some I'm gonna sneak into his room while he's sleeping and slit his throat type shit. Like, no, I wanna square up with him fair and square, and he has to die by my hand. And so from that point on, I was just like, okay, now I understand what this story is, right? So I was at that
Yes.
point, I was like, okay, I get it. This is a revenge story. This is Thorfinn is going to tag along with Askeladd and his mercenary group and fight with them
Hmm.
until Askeladd finally gives him the thing that he wants, the only thing that he wants in life anymore, which is a
Revenge
shot
for his
at
dad.
Askeladd.
Yo, Askeladd is like playing chess when everybody playing checkers. That man knew what he was doing. So we mentioned about him going and killing him in his sleep. Thorfinn had a chance to do that, but he chose not to because he wanted to honor and respect his father and do it the right way. So his father had the dagger, he picked the swords, everything else, and continued to train and just mature into a straight savage. He was so blood like his lust for blood was so intense. That's all he wanted to do was kill Askeladd, kill Askeladd. So Askeladd, okay, cool. You want to be a savage? You got some skills? Well, you gonna come with us. You're gonna earn your keep and I'm gonna put you on these dummy missions. Just go for it. And if you win and you get a captain's head, lieutenant's head, if you kill this person, kill that person, okay, I'll give you a battle, knowing that he's not of age yet to actually beat him yet. And he knows he gets what he wants in the day where he's my scout and he's really freaking good. I know what you want, so I'm gonna play along with you the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, and it was, maybe it's plot armor, but it was evident to me that Askeladd was playing this game, and
Yes.
Thorfinn was just. I mean, I guess in hindsight, Thorfinn really didn't have a choice. If that was what he wanted to do, then these were the terms,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Askeladd knew that he was going to hold this whole, be rigid in this whole idea of quote unquote honor. So he knew that he was never going to renege on any task that he gave him, because all he had to do was just keep moving the goalpost saying, all right, well, if you do this one last battle, if you do this one last task, this one last mission, you'll get your duel.
Which was like it's messy but still brilliant. It's so brilliant.
Oh
So
yeah.
early
Oh
on,
yeah. Askeladd's a shitbag, but he's very shrewd.
so you pick him on that. He cares about money. So they do Viking stuff. They go to each town. They want the jewelry. They want the gold. They kill everybody. They take what they want. That's pretty much what it is. So as the story progresses, you see the Viking way, and then you see how Thorfinn has to mature under those circumstances. He no longer is back with his mom and his sister on the farm. It's like this is really what his dad went away from, and knowing that's how this the lifestyle he is. So it's like the polar opposites of life, and knowing that the person you they almost built a relationship. I know that he wanted to kill Askeladd, but he kind of came like a father figure on the low for him. And so relationship progressed, and then they get to London Bridge, and then the beast that is in Thorkel. Thorkel is pretty much Shaq on a Viking type playing field. This man has no boundaries, no rules, picking up logs, dumping them on ships like he was the man, and there's nobody knew he can beat him. So what does Askeladd say do? Hey, Thorfinn, go fight him because he knows he can't beat him one on one. That is brilliant.
Yeah, when I saw Thorkel, and you were kind of texting me about it, like the episodes leading up to it, just like, have you
Yes.
met Thorkel yet? And I'm just like, no. I was like, who's Thorkel? And he was just, and you were just like, just keep watching. um, like Thorkel is like when, for me, is when it becomes the show for me. It's like less of a, to your point, like a historical kind of like drama.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is an anime, because like he's so overpowered. It's like it's ridiculous. He's so overpowered, it's ridiculous. It's like, okay, only an anime character can do this kind of shit, right? So, which was fine. It was, it's whatever. I understand. It's like they were trying to do kind of like a mid-season kind of big bad to kind of let you
Mhm.
know that like, hey, there are other bigger, badder people out here than Askeladd, right? And I think it was good that they, you're looking through the lens of, Thorfinn, and he just has this tunnel vision for just Askeladd, but it's just like there are so many other bigger things at play with Thorfinn just tagging along with Askeladd's mercenary group, doing all these things. It's not just making these raids all willy-nilly like there is, and we learn later on, which I'm sure you'll get to next, there is like a direction that they're headed towards, right? There is some kind of goal here. So so why don't you get into a little bit of that? Because like for me, this is where the show really starts hitting its stride for me, when it turns less about, oh, this is a story about a son trying to get revenge for his father, and more so about a bigger political kind of story about, different countries at war with one another.
And to go into that right now, so basically Thorkel was a part of England, was trying to do his own thing, but he got tired of winning. He just wanted to actually like fight on the opposite team. Like, don't you get tired of winning? He wants to fight in battle. He's a true warrior. He wants to die and go to Valhalla. Like, everyone wants to do those type of things. And you speak of the anime and like how he just like, you ship get closer, just shoot him. Now I'm take care of with the giant wood logs and just penetrating that was epic. So when I said, did you meet this guy yet? Because that right there changed the whole entire temperature of the actual anime for me. So we progress on to you see Floki pop back up again. He's like the snake of the entire show. So he was the king basically said, hey, go try to convince Thorkel. Nobody wants to fight him at all to come back onto my side. Convince him, give it whatever he wants. And Thorkel pretty much says, no, I'm staying over here because I want to fight you, because I want a good battle. I don't want to squash anybody. So Askeladd asks Thorfinn to go fight him. And that's the first interaction you see of, we thought that Thorfinn was the man. Nobody could beat him. He was cutting through everybody. And then you see this big giant monster, and their battle was pretty epic. So it concludes basically, I think Thorkel won round one, but the fingers get sliced off and he basically dumps back into the water. And then it goes to where everyone's kind of separated. He gets small time, he gets to a little village, gets nurtured back up by a family. And then you have Askeladd and all them come back and do what they normally do. Raid everything and do everything that's going on with that. And you get rumors about the king and how he has to make a successor and how there's two sons. There's one son he really wants, and then there's Prince Canute. Prince Canute is considered I thought it was a female at first, bro. Like, that's how they made it. Everything about this anime, like the long.
Well, and I feel like this is one of those shticks in anime. They have a tendency to have characters like Prince Canute, where they make them very, very feminine in like appearance, right? But I think, and again, this is one of the things that I like about this show is they had to make him that way so that his inevitable turn into a leader that people actually want to follow later on, which is clearly what they're alluding to towards the end of the season.
Yes.
So they had to start him at a place where you would look at this guy, Prince Canute, and say, there's no way people who follow Askeladd and Thorkel are going to follow a prince like this. Yeah, because it's just a classic art of like, of like a character arc, right? Like, he starts off down here, and through the course of like when you first meet him to the ending of season 1, he's like slowly like building his stock.
And about that, when you're saying building his stock, his caretaker was Ragnar. The dad did not care for Prince Canute. It was very obvious in the show that they wanted Prince Canute to die during battle. So they sent him on a dummy mission to be killed by Thorkel or somebody else so that the successor could be the other son. Ragnar was the loving, caring guardian that he always wanted a son type vibe. Like, it was that, but it wasn't made for war. It wasn't made for a prince. It's a person who's going to take over next level. So Prince Canute was very, very soft, very timid, and Askeladd picked up on that right away. And so the battles, everybody's basically at different lines, and then it comes to a point where Thorkel finds out that the prince is there. So people say, okay, I can't beat Thorkel. Screw the bridge. Let's go retreat. Thorkel's like, no, I want to fight. So he finds his way to get to Prince Canute, and then just goes ham again. He just goes at it again, and then Askeladd is just like the battle. Then turns to Thorkel versus Askeladd, and the chase on who's going to actually have the prince and who's actually going to have his favor, and when it's all said and done. Because if Askeladd's thinking, well, no matter what, if I return, I'm getting money, I'm getting power. Thorkel's like, I want to fight, and then Prince Canute's like the lost little puppy in this whole entire thing. So when you seen that whole dynamic start breaking down from the first episode, when you were like, this is whatever, to now, and you see how the political war and how it's like, yo, they were plotting for a bigger picture. How did it draw you in?
Yeah, this is when I really started getting more interested in the show because, again, up until this point, you're looking at Askeladd as just your classic Viking. He's here for blood and glory and gold, right? But when he takes on the responsibility for keeping the prince safe, that's not something that this Askeladd character that we've been led to believe what kind of person he is, that he would take a task like this. So I knew right away, I was like, okay, something's up here. Askeladd has another motive here. I'm not sure what it is yet, but it doesn't make sense for everything that he's done up until this point to then say, okay, well, let's take on this job of keeping the prince safe. There's of course there's a reward in it, but like that doesn't seem like someone who's just kind of a pillager by trade would engage himself in, right? Yeah. So I knew very early on, it's like, okay, there's something else going on here. And now I'm locked in because now I want to know what Askeladd's hiding and what his actual goal is in all of this, because he's not just out here pillaging for no reason. He wants you to think that, but there's something else to this character.
And then they have a couple of battles throughout the entire couple episodes. So it ends up being this forest fire where actually the prince is under the priest is hilarious, by the way. I'm sorry if you guys, I don't want to go to a whole religious aspect of it, but a different perspective, and it was much needed for this anime. So we have that, and so they comes to the actual forest, and the fire takes place. And Askeladd's using his brain. He's using like, hey, we're going downwind, we're going to start a fire, and then you have Thorkel talking about how strategically he's not dumb. Also, he's very smart about. He's also a veteran of the war, and then you get flashbacks a little bit, and stories being told that you realize that Thorkel and Thor's the actual father that started this whole thing. There's a connection, and how Thorfinn like, wait, are you father? Are you son of Thor's? And then you realize like, oh, this is a breadcrumb. Like everyone's coming together to mean something. And then so Askeladd ends up in the possession of the prince Canute, and then Thorfinn is designed as the knight to protect them. And they're of same age, but totally different. And Ragnar tries to step in and do everything, and Askeladd realizes that, hey, he has to go. There's no way I'm going to have what I want in the end with him babying him the entire time. So he would ask for like, hey, can I have a ship? Can I have all these things? And Askeladd's like, no, you're not getting nothing. So when you started seeing that, did you get some Game of Thrones-ish type vibe, or what did you get out of this?
Again, like going back to what I was saying before about, I just knew that there was something else that Askeladd was working towards that he had not made privy to anyone else, even his right hand, in command. So like I knew it was like, all right, why does he want this prince? Like there's no, the king wants him dead.
Yeah.
So rescuing him, bringing him back, sure, the king might give you some kind of, like in a vacuum, the king might give you some kind of reward as a way to throw off the scent that he wants his son dead. But in the long run, there's no real benefit to this because he doesn't really hold that much value to the king and by extension, the kingdom. Right. So go ahead.
So you have that where you thinking that as a fan watching it, then you have Askeladd's men are thinking the same exact thing. It's been simple. We go, we take out towns, we get money, we go home. but now you want to like protect the prince. This is not. This is what's going on. So everyone's thinking the same thing. So they're trying to almost figure out, is this man losing his touch? Is there a game plan? And they lose trust in him and the decision moving forward. So that's why I asked you how you felt about it. So now you have the pot is basically like adding more and more ingredients. Then you have okay, I gotta get rid of Rengar. So they found a way. They got him out of there. You gotta go. So they got him out of there.
R.I.P. Ragnar.
Yeah, but Ragnar had to confess something that was we already thought about, that how the king wanted him dead, and that returning him back, you were not going to get anything for it. So that's what I had to do. Like, oh crap! So my whole game plan needs to be altered again. And now you're showing your men, hey, this is my one plan, and they're very simple Vikings. Hey, we're going in, we're going out. So now we're pivoting at different points, and it doesn't make sense. So even more men are questioning. So they're not just running through the door for you. And eventually, one of those villages they actually decided to turn out and burn down, there was a survivor. And that word got back to Thorkel to know exactly where to go to track down Askeladd and to actually catch up to him. And then we have this giant, I think, one of the best fight scenes without power-ups I've ever seen in anime history. The actual battle of having a circle pit around and then having Thorkel just speak to Thorfinn about, hey, I know your father. I know what's going on. Hey, by the way, I'm your uncle. Like, he's like, wait, you're this? And then Thorfinn actually wins the battle with the assist of Askeladd. But just the overall, how they wanted to kill him afterwards, but the honor code of Thorkel was like, no, he won. We're not going to kill him. So from that point, we still have to figure out what's the overall objective, because now the men decided to turn on Askeladd. One with Thorkel. Thorkel was like, I don't want you. You turn on him, you all die. And then you see the numbers just dwindle down to the point that they have to merge together. And then you have your young prince, quiet, spoken, now no longer, he's off the leash now. He no longer has a caregiver. And then he decides to speak up and say, hey, we all have to come together. That changes the entire dynamic of the future of this actual anime.
Yeah, and that was the thing that again that I really liked is, you know, when they all kind of come together as one team. Now all of a sudden, you know, Ragnar's not there to baby him and kind of hold his hand, and he's got now this prince who previously didn't have any power or value. Now he's got Thorkel on the side, Askeladd, Thorfinn, and everyone that comes with that, right? So now things start to get really sticky, right? From a political standpoint, because now they're going back to meet up with, now instead of them ransoming the prince is like, okay, now I am going to lead y'all back to my father, the king.
Yeah.
But I'm not going alone. I'm coming with all these guys that I just mentioned. Right.
Yes.
And so you start to see, like, very quickly, like, all right, now we're starting to get into, like you said, the very kind of Game of Thronesy, like, what's the king planning to do now? Because he can't shun his son in public, right? Because then it'll give away his plan, and no one's going to follow a king that would willfully kill his own son.
Yes.
Right. So then it starts to get really, really sticky. And this is when I was just like, okay, now I'm really in now. Now I'm really in. Now you're giving me something more to look forward to other than just the Vikings going on raiding missions.
And we forgot one important factor. When Askeladd decided to get to there was a messenger on the boat, and they were like trying to get his army across, and they were like, do you take messages? And he was like, yeah, we'll take travelers. He's like, yeah, but it's going to take a while to take all you guys back. He said, no, I just want you to send a note. Tell me your thoughts when you reveal that, yo, Askeladd is not who we thought he was. Tell me your feelings when you see that. And find out, where is he from?
So we find out that he's Welsh.
Yes.
And I didn't know that he was going to be Welsh. But again, like I said, what we've gotten from Askeladd up until this point, a person like that doesn't take on this kind of job. So he was definitely hiding something. So when that came out, I was like, see, I knew something was up with this fucking guy. I knew something was up with him. But then I started thinking, okay, so what's his goal here?
Mhm.
What is now we know who he is, but what does that mean for why he's doing what it is that he's doing? So go ahead and like get into that a little bit because I want to know your perspective on that.
Just finding out that he was, well, I'm not going to release the last and that's to the very end of why he did what he did, but knowing that he did not come from the land that the people that he's rocking with and that he has been with, and that's his quote unquote brotherhood, and that he can give two craps about them. The one cool thing about this anime is that if you do watch it in dub, you can't really tell the different lingo and languages when different countries come in, but sub you can, and you realize that they're not all talking the same. How some people understand things. Askeladd knew the language, native language, that's where he's from. Everyone else is like, he knows this. They didn't expect him to be that smart. Everyone thinks that Vikings are just dumb jocks. So seeing strategic plan was, hey, I don't care what you guys do, I'll get you to your safe passage. In the day, this country's off limits. You cannot step foot in this country. We want peace. We don't care about anything else. You guys fight over there. Just leave us alone. And just reminds you that all Askeladd really cared for was that, to making sure that that land was not touched. But you're thinking, yo, you're a Viking. You touch everything. Like, why is this so important to you? And then we go into moving forward. We didn't get the final tip piece of that until the end. So we move forward and we go to them actually going to the king. The king is no dummy either. Like, he knew that when where the prince was coming and who was by his side, they know who Thorkel is. They didn't know who
Right.
Askeladd was though, but they know who Thorkel was. And for the
Right.
prince to actually make that happen, he had his guards on site ready to go.
Yeah, and
And then you have
it was very interesting to kind of
Mhm.
like see that Askeladd knew that the king was up to some bullshit, and the king
Yes.
knew Askeladd was up to some bullshit. So whenever they would meet each other face to face, it was
Mhm.
always kind of like we're baiting each other
Yes.
kind of a thing, like in their dialogue, which I thought was really, really good because it kept all those moments very, very, very tense. I mean, you got to
Mhm.
remember, this is the king of Vikings,
Yes.
right? So one slip up, we know how this ends, right? So those are the things that I think the show really does well when it leans into these moments where it's like, okay, this isn't just send
Mhm.
Thorkel in there and kill everyone in there and then we win the day. This is
And
you
that
gotta we're playing the game now.
and that is why this anime, in my opinion, is freaking brilliant. Because you go into most animes, and especially shonen, the guy who's a big bad wolf wrecks everybody and continues to wreck everybody. He might make it super bad, but he powers up above that. These are still considered humans, so they're not going to do some Super Saiyan type stuff. Not trying to knock against Dragon Ball Z all the time, but just saying there's a certain level to it, and how they could easily wrote how Thorkel is going to come in there and slaughter everybody, but it shows that he's just a knight in the chessboard. And then when you mentioned the king and Askeladd, and you realize, wait, Askeladd's more cut from the cloth of the king and not from the Vikings. You don't learn this game. You don't learn like the whole royalty game and how they strategically do things. How he's telling Prince Canute, "Hey, don't react to this. Don't do this." It's just those little intricate things in there, little ingredients. It just makes it so special and fulfilling. Like you forget you're even watching the anime. That's what I enjoyed about it. And then as this is still going on, you have Thorfinn who's still young and dumb, and certain aspects that all he wants is revenge. So he's like not even realizing the game that's actually being played right here.
Mm-hmm.
Askeladd is trying to teach him and show him, like, hey, we got a bigger fish to fry. And he's like, no, I want revenge. You kill my dad. Screw everybody else. I don't care. I don't care about how Prince feels. None of that stuff. That's all I want. So as it progresses and it goes on, Askeladd comes with his master plan. Well, to get the people on your side, why don't we try to plan an assassination? Because we always mentioned that he looked very feminine, the long hair and everything else, and having the people there because the king wanted to separate it. Thorkel separate him, Askeladd. That's what he wanted. He wanted to make sure conquer and divide. I mean, divide and conquer. So, how did you feel when the assassination attempt happened, and then seeing that it wasn't him?
I had a feeling again because we're looking at this from Askeladd's point of view at this stage, right? And knowing that he knew that the king wanted Prince Canute dead, I suspected that it was a decoy. Um, and it really puts the king in a bad spot because you basically, you get caught, with your hands in a cookie jar, essentially, right? Like it confirms all of the suspicions that Askeladd had about the king. And it's even further proof that Askeladd can take to Prince Canute without Ragnar being there saying, "Hey, look, this told you this is the kind of guy your dad is. He's trying to fucking kill you. What are you gonna do about it?"
And the fact that he had, like, when you see most kings, and this is my personal opinion, most of them, they either had the strong, massive look like there's some young king, or they got the old fat look where they fed and like Robert, that type of thing. This dude ugly. Like, I don't say it too often, but this man looks like gruesome. Like, he was like,
honestly, the first couple times I saw him, I thought he was just like sickly.
Yeah.
I thought like he was like needed to name a successor because he was like gonna croak at any given moment.
Man was atrocious, bro. But like, same time, he was like, he had wisdom. He had wisdom, and he knew how to play the game. So back, you have Floki, the snake from the beginning, and how he has been going about this entire thing. And then he gets senses that Askeladd, during his whole back and forth dialect, that there's a little more to him when you mention Wells. Like, he responded different than he normally does. So he's in the king's ear, like, hey, do that again. Next time the meeting, see what happens. Pay attention. And the king didn't pick it up at first. So that tells you how Floki, how important he was through the entire thing. You got Thor's killed. You've been a jealous guy the entire time. Thorkel told you, hey, get out of my face. And now you're trying to mess with Askeladd. It's a very interesting thing because he hired Askeladd to kill Thors. Like, you were the original guy who wanted to end that. I don't think the king, we still did not confirm that the king wanted to kill Thors. It just made it seem like it was a personal vendetta from Floki.
Right.
So as it go on, story progress. Thorfinn sees a old friend, storyteller from his original village, and he convinces them, hey, come back, gotta come back. And Thorfinn still, hey, I'm not a little kid anymore. I'm here for the long haul. I'm ready to get bodies. Then it gets down to the last meeting. The last meeting when everyone, I'm not gonna say it was like on some Red Wedding type stuff, because Red Wedding, that went ham. But the vibe where
there's only one Red Wedding.
I get it. But the vibe of everyone there and how the king decided to poke, and he's like, oh, you do have something you want to protect. Oh, okay. Let me poke again. Okay. And then seeing how Askeladd, who's been stone cold this entire time, knowing what he wants to do, had plans, just come unraveled. And like, you're looking at his face like, yo, this man's playing chess. Is he losing right now? He's losing because you're find out his mother's homeland and how he despises everybody and everything that deals with the kingdom, and how he's also the rightful king in some people's eyes. He is the person that's supposed to take over and rule the land. And like, dude, that hits a sore spot about his mama, and he wanted to go off with the head with the king. And
oh yeah, he almost lost his shit. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see the anime, you see his eyes get big, and you see the switch.
Yeah. And I was like, whoa, Askeladd, oh, dial it back, buddy, dial it back. Dial it back.
It's showing like the temperatures is like, yo, all right, I'm gonna keep going. And then at this time, Thorfinn went through some stupid stuff. He's in a jail right now. So he's not even a part of the picture right now. So it's not his. He became the bodyguard of Askeladd, same time as Prince Canute. Like, he wanted to make sure they both survive for his own personal reasons, and that he was not in that picture anymore. And then you have Thorkel, who all he cared about was fighting. That's all he cared about. Now, Thorkel at this point in time did know what Askeladd was and was going on, because he revealed some parts to him that others did not know about. But he's not going to just step in there and try to break the fight up, because all he wants to do is fight. So it really was Askeladd versus the king and Floki, and they gave him a number. So when you seen that unravel, and then you see him pull the sword, What did you think was going to happen?
You mean like at the end in the
Yes,
pavilion when
when he gave him
everything
the option. Yes.
kind of goes to shit really quick.
Yeah.
Um, so that was definitely a shocking moment. I think now that I'm really thinking about it, I got a couple of thoughts. Number
Okay.
one, the king, and this just kind of happens with royalty in these kinds of settings.
Hmm.
He got a little bit too arrogant about the
Yeah.
whole "I'm a king" thing. But
Hmm.
again, like you said, we're all human beings at the end of the day. So you should have never gotten that close to someone that you knew what he was about.
Yes.
Because at any given moment, he could have done what he did, which is taking your head smooth off your fucking shoulders. Right. So
Hmm.
for me, that was a little like the king thought he was a little bit untouchable.
Yeah.
Um, but also too, and even though Askeladd did kind of snap and kind of go off the deep end, I also think maybe he's playing 4-dimensional chess here because again, they're talking about Prince Canute's brother being named as the successor. But if
Yes.
Prince Canute and the king are in one spot and the king dies and the king has all of his retainers with him,
Hmm.
Prince Canute is in a position now, no matter what happens to Askeladd, Prince Canute
Hmm.
is in a position now where he can take full control of his father's kingdom.
Yes.
Because remember, this isn't what, the 11th century or something like that, where
Hmm.
so there's not mail, there's not Twitter, like the news is whatever now Prince Canute and whoever is loyal to Prince Canute says it is.
Hmm.
Right? So now with the king dead, Prince Canute can take total control of the kingdom. And if his brother challenges it, he's already got all the troops.
Hmm.
Right? So I think, and I don't know if Askeladd had that. I don't know if Askeladd was thinking that, right? Like, if I can convince Prince Canute not to raise arms against Wales,
Hmm.
all I have to do is ensure that he is the next ruler of Denmark. Whether or not I live to see it, if Prince Canute is running things, I know
Hmm.
Wales is safe.
So it's in hindsight when you look at everything, want to like Monday morning quarterback it. Everything the king was trying to do to get his way. He was trying to, like you mentioned, there's no mail system. It's whatever the Lord says at that moment is law. So if his son would have died, no one would have questioned it in battle because hey, he said he's gone. And then all of a sudden his son comes back. Oh, we gotta get him out of here. The assassination happens. Askeladd knew that everybody would see that and they'll start questioning the king. So they knew whatever was gonna happen in this town was gonna be the end all be all. And the writers did a really good job on making sure that Thorfinn was not a part of this whole thing. So it
Yeah,
takes away, you were driven with revenge story the entire time. And then at the very end, when it's all the marbles on the table, and Askeladd loses control, but then he snaps back. And realize, I personally think he realizes that, hey, okay, I got to protect Wales. I got to make sure you're not king so you don't do anything to Wales. Cool. Off with your head. And it gives Prince Canute a chance to become the king. Because if you kill the person who assassinated the king, you are the king. There, everyone now knows where your loyalty lies at. There, and on top of that, you already know that Prince Canute was not going to attack Wales. So
right.
he got what he wanted in all the end. But the person that suffered the most is at the very end. Thorfinn was getting out and then heads towards the ballroom, and then sees Prince Canute put the dagger into Askeladd, and you see him go into a berserk mode, savage, screaming like people. The voice actors in this freaking show was on point. Like you felt the emotion inside you.
Yeah,
This man
yeah.
wanted to freaking go ham
I
on
mean, you took away
everybody.
his life's purpose. You took away his entire, like, he's been so hyper focused on this one thing
Yes.
since he was, I don't even know how old he was when his dad died. 6,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. I don't know how old he is now, but it's a long time, at least a decade and change, right? So like and this is the thing again, why at the end of this season, why I'm like, okay, where are we headed now? Right? Because to your point, the show started off as a revenge story, and
Mm-hmm.
we were following Thorfinn. We were following Thorfinn until we meet Prince Canute, and then it switches from a revenge story to this political kind of drama where we're focusing in on Askeladd, right? But then Askeladd dies,
Yes.
right? And so now we're left with,
What
okay,
the
Prince
hell?
Canute is taken over. Thorfinn has just completely lost all fucking will to live at this point. And
Yes.
it's like, and this is why the ending of season 1 and going into season 2 is so interesting to me, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, where do we go from here? And I thought that was very, very ballsy on the writers for making that turn, because you have what we would consider the main character in Thorfinn
Mm-hmm.
in the second part of season 1 become a supporting character rather than a main character. And it's like he didn't even have a role to play in the whole Askeladd
Yes.
and the King of Denmark, Prince Canute kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
He's just there because of his connection to Askeladd. So without getting into spoilers for season 2, because I know
Yes.
you've read the books,
Mm-hmm.
give us kind of like an outlook on like where we leave off season 1 to like going into season 2, and like how, like what's next. That's been my biggest thing. It's just like I
Okay.
have no idea where this is going to go, and
So
it's exciting.
it's freaking so exciting. So I love mysteries. I love thrillers. I also love chess is my favorite board game, and this anime is literally that. So when you break it down, you start off with Prince Canute, and you've seen him start at point and then do a 180-degree towards the end, right? Now look at the same way for Thorfinn. Thorfinn started off hot. Well, he started with a young kid, but then you got to the main part of him actually being hot, killing everybody. To at the very end, he's broken. Polar opposites. So in season 2, and what you're moving on forward to, which I think is a lot of fans are probably going to not watch it. They're probably going to hate it because they like the war arc, and that's all they want. They want the battles, they want the Vikings, but you're going to see the restart of a broken man and how everything he ever wanted and desired was taken away from him. Now where do I go? At the same time, you're going to see the build of a dynasty and Prince Canute, now King Canute, and seeing that what he can actually do now with him not being as evil as his father was, knowing that he was Rhaegar was actually a part of him. But you're going to also see that he becomes a savage. He becomes a person where if you cross him, he knows what he has to do. That's a part of life you're going to see. So you're going to have one individual who was the top of the mountain and the bottom, other one now the top, and you're going to see how their stories eventually cross paths again, and how they're going
Right.
to
I mean,
get on
they
the
have
wall.
to, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's
otherwise,
amazing.
this isn't a show, right, anymore,
It's
right?
it's amazing.
I think it's, and that's the thing that like interests me, because I saw that turn happening, right? Especially with Prince
Mm-hmm.
Canute. Obviously, the turn for Thorfinn all happens in a quick like pull of the rug when
Mm-hmm.
Askeladd dies. He just like his whole world's crushed because he's just like, what do I have to live for now?
Yeah.
Um, but with Prince Canute, you saw him start from such a low place and slowly build up that confidence to
Mm-hmm.
where I can see the trajectory where Prince Canute's going. And to your point, he's not going to be as evil as his father,
Mm-hmm.
but knowing the game that he just had to endure, he now understands what to expect from people, and how to read them and how to react to those things. And given that he is king now and his word is law,
Mm-hmm.
that's a it's a dangerous spot to be in if you're an enemy of now King Canute, because
Yes.
he's had a great arc. I think he's learned a lot. Some of the things he learned from Ragnar, but more importantly, the things he learned from his short time with Askeladd and
Mm-hmm.
having to deal with all the shady shit with his father is going to make him a monarch that's not easily fooled.
On top of that, like if you look at it, and as Rhaegar was the person who he helped guide him, and also when he died, you saw the trajectory go up. Same thing. You could say that Rhaegar and Askeladd. Askeladd is what Thorfinn is the Rhaegar. Like he literally is the Rhaegar for Thorfinn. And then seeing him gone, you're gonna be like, what the hell do I do? And that's the part you're gonna see. And it's so freak. I am so happy that they put season 2 on Netflix. I hope they continue 3 or 4. It should be like 7 seasons, hopefully. But we're gonna see how it is. You're gonna fall in love with this actual story. If you love the slow burn and you enjoy storytelling and how a person can go, not always a hero, you have to enjoy the journey and knowing how different countries and how it's not a shonen anime, but there are shonen parts. You're going to get your battles. You're going to get everything you have with that. But the mind games, a little tit for tats, the war, the consoles, like it's just those type of things I love about movies and films that I get into animation now. Yeah, it's better than Attack on Titans.
Well, we're not going to get into that, but I do like that, like, to your point, in this story, there's not good guys, there's not bad guys, there's just guys.
Yeah.
It's just they're just characters, and they're all just, you know, moving along with wherever life and circumstances take them, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, sure, you might be able to pick a side, but like there's not one or the other side which you can like definitively say, oh, this person's good, this person's evil, like you can in like your typical like shonen anime, something like that, right? So that's where I think this show has a lot of potential to really do something special. Mm-hmm. If the storytelling and the writing holds up over the next, I don't know how many seasons they're going to make. I know you read the book, so I don't know. So I don't know, you know, how long the story is going to be, or you know how many seasons they plan on making. Ooh. But I'm excited, man. I mean, you know, I've again, like I told you, it started a little slow for me.
Yeah,
and it felt like just your typical kind of revenge story. Mm-hmm. But yeah, ever since the whole Askeladd thing, I'm into it now. I'm very excited to see where season 2 and beyond is going to take us.
It's going. People, do yourself a favor. Like Prince, he always said, like it starts slow for him. Stick with it. But when you watch it, stick with it. See it to the very end, then make your decision.
Well, we just spoiled all of season 1 for them.
Oh, so. Absolutely! I told you earlier. I said stop it. I said heavy spoiler going ahead, but you still get to watch it. You still get to enjoy it because there's more characters coming. And you see in the very end of season 1. You seen the clip. It shows like the 4 other characters coming through. Oh, yes, more is coming. More is coming.
Yeah.
Well, please like, subscribe. Thank you for walking on this journey with us, listening to us. If you're still here, we appreciate you.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely, man. Don't forget to like, subscribe. You know, let us know in the comments what you guys thought of season 1. If you guys are watching Vinland Saga, please, if you guys have read the books, please no spoilers. Don't fuck this up for me because I'm very excited to see where the story's gonna go. So, but I mean, Duran, you got anything else, bro?
Nah, man, I'm looking forward to it. Like, comment on what you want us to talk about. We're up for anything. So
yeah, I know. We were talking before. The Boys is dropping soon. Obviously, Invincible's gonna have another season soon. There's a lot of good stuff coming up in the fandom, so I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. Well, apparently, The Flash is supposed to be dropping a trailer over the Super Bowl, so we'll get to see that. Hey, look, okay. I'm still excited. I'm still excited for it because it's going to reset the DC universe. So I want to see. I want to see what they do. I just want to see what they're going to do with it. I want to see how they're going to actually do it.
If someone tells you the point of the entire movie is to reset it, why am I watching it? Like, it means everything I'm watching doesn't mean anything.
Well, because it's obviously.
I know the fan, but I'm saying as a new person, like, why would I want to watch it?
Well, because sometimes those new fans who don't know much about comics come to people like us, and we tell them, "Hey, Flashpoint Paradox is one of the greatest DC stories ever told. If this is what they're basing it on, could be something great. I don't know. Could be shit, but we won't know until June."
Yo, okay. Do you think Zoom is going to be like some Killmonger type level? Like, do you think?
I don't even know if we're gonna have a Zoom, because it looks like we're just gonna get like an evil berry, because there's two berries. But you know what? That's, we're getting off topic. That's another pod for another day. We will for sure be back here next week after this Flash trailer drops to break this thing down, I'm sure.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
Again, like, subscribe. Pleasure having y'all. Deron, it's been a pleasure as always, bro. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace and love.